Okay, so I'm starting off with this drum that someone painted for me as a gift in a workshop I taught last week in Loveland, Colorado. It's a Rowan Storm frame drum that an artist who was in the class gifted me and painted. So I don't know if you can see how stunning the gold is on here in the light. So let's just take our hands on our hearts. We're in our 8th session in this 9-session course, level 2, the advanced group. And take a breath. And we're centering in tonight into a very important topic, very near and dear to my heart, about the lifestyle of creating your business. And already people are asking, well, how do you find a good assistant, and how do you this and that? And so we're really going to talk about how you design your business, your lifestyle that fits your lifestyle. And because it's really, you are your boss. And we'll talk about self-care as well. So take a breath. I like to begin our calls by drumming a little bit so that we all get a chance to, oops, I gotta mute everybody. So that we all get a chance to anchor into the present moment. However you do that with your breath, with the beat, with the rhythm, you can close your eyes, just listening, so that we can be fully present for tonight's topic in this call. Just let out a sound. No one can hear you. Just a nice exhale. Whatever sound wants to come out that clears space for you. Welcome, Lulu. Good. I see some more people have joined in. And you know, one thing I've been doing in this course, hi Lulu, is I've been drumming us into the course, and you may be wondering what is she thinking, or how does she create these little openings? I do have a pattern. I start with the hand on heart because it's good for anchoring intention into the heart center. And when we put our hand there, we embody. So we're making a shift in our posture. And then what I'm doing is just playing a repetitive pattern that's medium tempo. I mean, it wouldn't be very centering if I was like that'd be great if I was like, let's all move our bodies and shake and be awake for today's class. Sure. But for centering, I'm just doing a nice simple beat, something that I'm capable of playing. You don't want to try to play something for the group that's over your own level where you're stressing or doing some kind of opening activity, but it's just giving you a chance to arrive. So I always recommend that whatever you're doing is to remember, where is the group? How do you pull them together? Sometimes playing for them is a very helpful tool. And then you're wondering, how long does she go? I usually push myself a minute past when I feel like stopping. That's kind of my rule of thumb, because I'm probably the most ready for this because I'm teaching it. So for the participants, I figure I add 1 to 2 minutes. So when I start to feel like I'm done, I'm going to add at least a minute. I do look at the clock because I studied people, and it took 3 minutes for people to change their breathing pattern based on a rhythm. So there's a little science in my mind of, okay, I'm watching the clock, because otherwise if I don't do that, hi Diana, if I don't do that, what'll happen is I'll cut you short, right? So I have to track it on kind of a formula level as well as a feeling tone. It's always a balance. you guys, of what we're feeling and then what we know works, so that we're not just going with our feeling. We're intuitive. We're using a creative art form that's experiential, but I'm also tracking a little bit of the science. It's a balance. So today's topic number 8, that's really critically important for all of us. I mean, this is the juice of it all. Okay, so you've got a business, you've been learning from me, you've been working on your marketing, your selling, and all these things we've been talking about. But today we're going to talk about the time management tools. I am the hugest fan of time management. And I think time is money. And when I heard that phrase, I realized if time is my biggest asset as a self-employed person, really, my budget is time more than money, then how do I manage my time? I should learn that, because that's going to be my best asset, is to learn how to use that time. And also how to lifestyle balance and designing a business that works for you. Some of you are just doing this as a pastime. You're like in an encore career situation. Some of you, this is your full-time job, or you're moving towards that. So whatever that is for you, this is about different. I want to offer you some design models tonight that have been useful to me that will help you anchor what it is you do. And then next month we'll have our final session number 9 oh, Sarah Jane, you got the sound, right? I just saw your comment that you're not getting sound. If you could just post in the chat bar if it's working. And so often what I like to do is have these opening little mantras. You are the boss. How do you want to treat your employees? Right? Because sometimes we work ourselves to death. So we're going to talk tonight about that lifestyle balance. So let's begin with this question. I want you to rate yourself in the chat bar, scale of 1 to 10. 1 is low, 10 is high scored, on how good you are at time management. Great. So we can all, if you can't see this, I'll read out some numbers: 6, 8, 5, 5, 1 to 10. Oh, okay. Sarah Jane has solved it. She's listening. 5 is medium, right? Everybody post, please. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your level of competency with time management? So no 10s. Highest score I'm seeing is an 8. So it looks like it's going to be beneficial for you guys tonight to learn some time management skills, or some time management tricks, I might say. Because basically we're running lots of departments. We have lots of hats. So managing our time is important. Second test to begin tonight is I want you to write down in the chat bar 5 things you love doing for self-care. Don't think too hard. Pop it out there. They can come one at a time. I don't care. Just popcorn them out. Your self-care practice. Beautiful. Eating fresh organic food, walking in the woods. Spa, soak, hot bath, walk on the beach, going out to eat, and red wine. Walking the doggy, playing my flute, daily morning prayer time, yoga, swimming, Nia, foot massages. Look how unique these are. Making smoothies, hiking, Tai Chi. We are really, in the age of individual medicine. Fishing. Awesome. Girl nights. Meditation. And as you're writing these, the next follow-up question is, when is the last time you did one of these things? Breath work, feet in the sand, playing music for me. Nice. Wine, giggling with my son, giggling. Hanging out with my adorable nephews today. this morning. Oh, okay, this is when you did it. Today, this morning, 15 minutes ago, last weekend. Good, you guys are having some good self-care, evidence of good self-care. Salt bath. I'm glad to see that these are not things that you haven't done in forever. One thing I want to introduce you to tonight is what I called on your handout, the out of rhythm radar. So the out of rhythm radar, and all of us know the term radar. I need more self-care more often. I work out almost daily, yeah. Breathwork was last week, eek. Yeah. When we become conscious of it, and it's not to do all 5 of these things every day, it's just to know that we have a pool of things that are individual for you, that you've got in your toolkit, and we're always learning and changing them. Yes, journaling is a great one. And then finding time. Isn't it always about finding time, you guys, right? Finding time. We have that phrase, finding time. It's like, where is it lost? Okay, thank you, Diana, for letting us know she has to leave it at exactly 5. Finding energy. Yes, finding time, finding the energy to do it. Finding the space for it, too. Sometimes you can't do it in the room you're working in. You want to go outside. You have to travel to the woods to do what your practice is. You have to, so there's all those pieces like, if you know you love Epsom salt baths, stock up on Epsom salt Epsom salt, so that you're never like, I need the bath. Why don't I always just buy 10 of those gallons, right? So just like, that's the consciousness. I'm treating myself. So finding time, finding energy. Okay, so what's the rhythm radar? What I'm out of rhythm radar. What I mean by this is, when we're in a program, we're teaching, we have a radar for like, how are people responding? We're tracking a group. We're all good facilitators that way, right? We have a radar about ourselves. We pick up energy. We're tracking things. So when you track your own life, when you know you're out of rhythm, when you're depleted, what is depleted? Anybody ever been depleted? Right? So if you're depleted, that's your out of rhythm radar. And when we lose our radar, we just keep moving and pushing and teaching and giving and running programs because we're running things because we have to, because we're making a living at this. How can I say no? I think this is like what goes on in the loop of self-employment is, how can I say no? I mean, I have to make money. It's my job. So tonight we're going to talk about the out of rhythm radar. When in your life have you noticed that moment where you were like burned out, or there was a radar in you that said, I've lost something. I'm depleted. And when we get to depleted, that's the ultimate warning sign of the out of rhythm radar, that we haven't been maintaining. So we want to be the juiciest self-employed people. Not these self-employed people that are always like, I'm so exhausted, I have to run my own company, I have to do the emails and the marketing and the bitching and the moaning and the complaining. No. I mean, I can tell you that I would do cartwheels how much I love my lifestyle, because my business feeds my lifestyle. It's all in balance after lots of years of being sometimes out of balance. But the minute I'm depleted, I know it's because I've gone below my maintenance program. Right? If my out of rhythm radar is off and I didn't catch it and I go down to depleted, I don't know about you guys, but getting up from depleted is way more work for me. It takes often silence, going away, unplugging, it's bigger time commitment to when I get to a place of depleted. And some of you know that 2 years ago, I took 40 days off and went to the Joshua Tree Desert to be in silence for 40 days and just to play music. It's a Sufi practice called a chila. No talking, unplugged, 40 days. And boy, did that help. I felt some kind of deep depletion, and that's my radar. And I knew I was ready for something. So how do we know? Get the signal, honor the signal. Get the signal, honor the signal. And I'll break that down. Get the signal, honor the signal, and stay in the maintenance. And now you know your list. So what I want you to do is write your list of things on some sticky notes, hang them up in front of your computer or wherever you want them to be, in the kitchen, in the bathroom. Be a reminder. Believe me, this works. I have this on my board at home, which has become kind of a visioning board for me. It lists 10 things, I think, that I can do to take care of myself, things that are unique to me that you'd be surprised to see what's on my list, like knitting. You know, I love knitting. So it's things that only you know will replete you. Replete. That's a good word. Replete. Yeah. She has to recharge after being at a national conference weekend. Exactly. Yeah, and that's because if you're an introvert and you go to a conference, you get exhausted. If you're an extrovert and you go to a conference, you get charged. Some of that has to do with our personality types. So one of the most important things you need to know about yourself is, are you an introvert or an extrovert? And, you know, there's a test that I always recommend, which is the Enneagram. See, in NAI, if you're an introvert and you're out teaching at Omega and you're interacting all day, I would imagine your evening schedule might be, I'm going to get my food and eat alone in my room, which is something I do a lot when I'm teaching at retreat centers. But know your personality. There's the Myers-Briggs test. These things are the most valuable thing you can know about yourself. Enneagram, which is 9 personality types. This is not astrology. This is not woo-woo stuff. This is really scientifically researched information. Those 2 tests, I think, really benefit us. Enneagram, I'll send you all a link to the Enneagram test. You can do it in $15 in like 30 minutes or something. And you can learn a lot about yourself because the Enneagram gives you 3 levels of functioning. I'm a 7. And they just give it numbers because they didn't want to get people stereotyping what they meant or too many impressions. And they give you, at your best, you look like this. At your medium, you look like this. When you're really at your worst and stressed out, you look like this. So they taught me, somebody else is a 7, Trisha. Well, we're called the enthusiasts. So this Enneagram gave me the radar. It gave me this sort of like, okay, so here's me when I'm dysfunctional. Here's me when I'm at my peak functioning. So please, hi Karen, make a note to yourself to get some data for yourself. If you're introverted and you're doing a lot of extroverted things, your repleting is going to require some alone time. And if you get depleted, you know how hard it is to give and teach. It's really, we have the out of rhythm radar just going beep, 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 signal on. So how do you find space? I remember one time in Japan, hiding in a bathroom for 15 minutes. Because I just couldn't take all the socializing. And then I wore earplugs to the dinners because there was so much chatting in Japanese. My brain was getting overwhelmed. So I carry earplugs. I carry, a playlist on my phone that is super soothing. So, what we do, if you're in the world of drum circles, is very entertaining and upbeat and energizing and loud. And so you might be noticing the balance, your need for other things. So I'm not going to keep harping on that, but you get the point. And my next question was number 3, how do you turn off? How do you turn it off but still carry your business card? So when are you not working? Right? Because people will say, well, you're self-employed, you're always working. But if that's your strategy, you will become depleted. So we're not startup companies. This is not Silicon Valley where those people are working 80-hour weeks and they're launching a new startup. We are in the long term. And so we do have rhythms that flow, ebb and flow. I'm in a rhythm right now building a new website. I feel it. I know I recognize this rhythm. So I know to not take as many gigs for the next couple of weeks because I'm in the website revision, So we start to learn. I just feel like a conductor. We start to look at our calendar and we're sort of like, okay, I see that there needs to be a little more space over here. And the truth is it's empowering that you are creating that space. And there's the need for finances, which is always going to be driving what we can and can't do. So I understand that, but I have learned over the years to have the radar on and really work to maintain myself. I am my product. At the end of the day, I am my product. If I'm exhausted or tired, I don't feel like I'm a good product. So I am the self-care of my product. Okay, so Lulu said, I'm terrible at turning off. Let's ask Lulu what she means by that. I'm going to spotlight you.
Oh, well, I'm all, like I always have, enthusiastic, and then I go to the very end, and then I go collapse, and then I get sick. So that's what stops me.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty typical pattern. And so don't feel bad, because that's a pretty typical pattern of people that have a lot to give and you're generous. But at the same time, what can you do based on this conversation right now to change that pattern? Any thoughts?
I guess I just have to be very mindful and watch and plan. I guess my planning is the best thing. Planning not to have some time in whatever I'm doing in my day or whatever, which I do, but like sometimes I get over too many things happening, but just to plan that time, to have that time to myself.
Beautiful. And so that's what I mean by how do you turn it off, but still carry your business card? Yeah. I'm really hard at not look at email or do anything on Sundays. Oh, nice. It's my one day to turn it off. Well, that's a great plan, is to have one day where you do not look at computer screens. Boy, I got a dose of information on NPR last week. They're doing statistical analysis of screen time duration and the effect on adolescents. And it's scary, because they announced an app now where you can track your screen time on your phone.
Wow.
So get that app. I'm going to get that app. It's good to know how long, because we're unconscious of it. My gut tells me not to do something, it's better not to do it. Exactly. It's hard to tell my son to put it down when I have it up all the time running on my business. Exactly. So we have to be conscious of these things that do have a little science behind how they are affecting us. But these people who are human evolutionists are studying screen time and how it's affecting our species, because we've never had so much time on screen as we have now. Hey, I'm looking at you guys on a screen, so I get it. But I don't know the app, but I'll look it up because I'm going to get it. So my point is, Lulu, thank you for your sharing. I want to applaud. Let's all applaud Lulu for sharing, because I think that's really, transparent of you tonight. But the point is, she said the key word, planning. The second key word is prioritizing. And I heard this speaker, Stephen Covey, at this conference I was speaking at with him. He said, don't prioritize your schedule your priorities. And that really hit me. So I'm going to just bop into time management for a minute now. So Lulu's example is not only being in the day-to-day concept, but also looking at a larger rhythm. Again, just see yourself as the conductor. Okay, look, I've packed 5 events into 2 weeks. I know ahead that I'm going to take a day off before and a day off at the end of that run. And you guys, I do this. So if I'm going to teach health rhythms in Nashville, I fly in a day early so that I can have a full day of silence, because I'm going to be talking for 2 straight days. The day after health rhythms, full day of nothing. No computer, no screen. I'm very conscious about, because that one, I can afford that, given what I earn from that program, I can afford a day off and a day after. Not including travel days. That doesn't count a travel day. That just counts the day off. And you know how hard that was for me to pay for a hotel room without making money that day? But it's critical for me now to have that preparation quietude. Then I'm so ready to give. And it's a different training experience for them, but most importantly for me. I'm enjoying teaching, because I have energy. You said energy and time. So schedule your priorities. So that means looking ahead, putting it in the blocks of time, and then hold yourself accountable. It's going to be really easy to say, I'm not going to get to take that walk in the woods because, I got to do this call and I'm late on emails, and you're always going to be late on emails. Emails don't stop. So take the walk. Take the walk. Because how many of you have ever come back from a break and everything's fresh and you see things you didn't see? Anybody know what I'm talking about? And you're just like, wow, I guess when I'm in overwhelm, I don't get what I do. So I know this sounds super counterintuitive, like you should be spending all your time making cold calls, getting new clients, getting on Facebook. But the truth is, if your energy is suffering, you have to pause and address that and make plans for that. It's very possible to plan that. So let me share a couple of quick time management strategies that I love besides prioritizing your schedule. Scheduling your priorities. This one is called the data dump. It's from David Allen, and it decreases overwhelm immediately. And actually, Karen, after I talk, Karen, I can hand this to you because Karen is an expert. She's the declutter therapist, so she might have some time management tips if you would be willing to share, Karen. But this one I really like. If you've ever been in overwhelm, it can be a project overwhelm. It can be a career overwhelm. It can be project-based. Data dump means you sit down, you think of every single task you need that's on your mind right now. You get it out of your mind onto the piece of paper. People don't do this because they think it's overwhelming to see the list. No. The research is it's overwhelming to feel like it's all in your head, like you're carrying it. So David Allen is a time management expert and teaches time management all over the world. And these two tips I'm going to teach you come from his workshops. So the first one is the data dump. Anytime you're in overwhelm, sit down, write down everything you have to do. Just who here has done that? Oh, good. So quite a few have done data dumps. So it just gives all that spit out of your head. You don't have to prioritize it. Don't worry about it. Just make every line item is a different task. The other thing we do, David Allen says, is that we put stuff like build a new website on the to-do list. And he's like, right. So it's things like, schedule time to get proposal for the website, or edit page 1, or edit page 2, or develop page 3. And somehow seeing it, as Joan Borysenko learned, resilience comes from the reality of accepting what is the situation. So Joan Borysenko studied people who survived disasters, and she studied people who had burnout and quit the profession and then got recovered and came back. She has a book on burnout. And she said the number one thing that improves resilience is the realistic awareness of the situation. So it gives us a reality check. Okay, it might also give you a check to say, I took on too much. I got to get an assistant to pull this off. And that's important. And we're going to talk about getting an assistant. So the second rule of thumb from David Allen is if it takes less than 4 minutes, do it now. If it takes up to 4 minutes, do it now. Don't write it on a list. 4 minutes is the rule. So the minute I write down pay my assistant is a stupid thing to do. I would rather go to PayPal, find the invoice, send the money. I don't have to write it on the list. It took less than 4 minutes. You can play with that. Sometimes I give it 5-minute rule. But if it's something that keeps piling up and you could have just taken care of it quickly without putting it on a list, do it now. The third thing is administrative support. When to hire help, back-end help, or event support. Now, in my experience, I have both. I need a back-end admin person and I need event support. Sometimes Deborah just got a corporate gig pop out of the blue. She was just sharing with us. Jenny, we know, is out with Facebook tonight. She has a helper on her gigs. So that's an event helper. That doesn't always mean that's the same person as her admin person. Usually they're not, in my experience. A lot of times I get event support by asking for volunteers because people are wanting experience with me on the job training, and I offer an exchange to them for volunteering, sitting down with me, and I'll share with them any comments or learning. Karen, you've been a volunteer with me before, I know, a couple of times. Yep. So event support might look different financially. Like I just had this burn camp event I told you guys about, I think, and I basically saw that it was a nonprofit. They only paid us $500. So I just put on the, email blast looking for help, maximum of 4 people. Thanks, Sarah Jane. And 4 people came, and it made all the difference for me, and for the group and for the client and for them. It was such a win-win-win. None of those people are my admin person. My admin person was the one who helped me organize to ask for help. Okay, then I'm gonna talk some more about that. And then Karen, if you have any thoughts and you'd like to share about time management, I'm gonna pass it to you if you would like. Okay, you're good? All right, she's in the know world. Now let's talk about getting an admin person. So somebody was asking about that earlier. Data dump. Write down all the things you need help with. Nothing will happen until you write that list. Now, nobody's admin list is the same as another person's in my experience. So some people's admin person does their dry cleaning, picks up their voicemails. I mean, everybody has a different level, a tier of what they use and how often, how much can you afford, right? But I'm going to give you a shocking formula tonight. So if a typical admin person is, say, $15 to $25 an hour, maybe 15 to 20, depending on their level of expertise. And actually, admin people can be anything from 15 to 35 an hour, I'm finding in Southern California. What you can do is think about this. What would you do with another 4 hours a week? Is there a chance you could book another gig? And was there a chance that that gig would pay you $100? And if so, you just paid for 5 hours of admin at 20 an hour, right? So when you start to do the math, you realize hiring a helper, usually, I feel 100%, I'm 100% certain about it, will be an economically wise choice, okay? It's economically wise. It also reduces our burnout. It also builds creative ideas. I mean, if you're a brainstorming person like me, it's better to play off someone. It gives tasks. You can hand off tasks and feel a relief. You can grab things off your data dump list and say, what on this list can you handle for me this week? Why do we not do this? I always tell people this is a threshold of business development when you're self-employed, is to get an admin helper. And this can be all levels. It can be like 4 hours a month. It can be 4 hours a week. It can be 20 hours a week. Everybody's going to be at a different level. But if you have felt, I asked my mentor once, a mentor of mine, Jackie Jones, and I said to her, she wrote the book, How to Get on TV. She was my media coach. I said, how do you know when it's time to get an admin? And she said, when you're standing in line at a post office. See, that's just not the best use of your time. What is the best use of your time? Booking gigs, right? Selling your work. Hard to get an admin person to do that for you, but you can hand off Facebook posting, you can hand off, pick up the order this, pick up that. Logistic stuff weighs on me. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not good with details and planning, so I need that person or I will fail. So how many of you have an admin person? Just post on the thing. Okay, good. Trisha has an admin. Let me see if she would speak about it. I'm going to unmute you. Is there anything you could share about that experience?
Hello.
Hi.
I can't. I know no one can see me, but I am here. Yeah, my husband and I are both running the poetry salon, and he is. I'm very thankful. He is much more detail oriented. He's not afraid of computers. Anytime something on my computer isn't working, I break into hives and sweat and cry. He actually just goes online and looks up how to fix it. So I'm very fortunate in that respect. And yeah, it's very helpful. It's very helpful because I don't really have those skills, and it's so helpful to be able to hand it off to him and say, I can't figure out why this isn't working. Can you figure that out while I go over here and answer these emails with clients or what have you?
Thank you. Good. I was just putting a couple things like computer support, accounting, things that I know. I told you, Lulu, your husband could be filming videos for you too. He could be your cameraman. And it can also be a volunteer. Like Judy Atkinson has a great program in Canada, and she has She asks every year by email for who wants to volunteer with her. She takes them all out at the beginning of the year for a beer. And she has a volunteer meeting with everybody. It might be 6 people. And she says, here's what I need help with. Is there anybody willing to, offer a few hours? And she's been doing her business with volunteer admin, which is impressive. People that just love her, they love the work, they want to support her, they're retired. I don't know what the situation is. But what I would tell you is if you find yourself and don't think about, have I got surplus money? What you have to think about is, am I facing that out of rhythm radar? Am I in the undertow? Could I free up 5 to 10 hours, whatever it is, 2 hours a week? Could I free up, I'm coaching a person privately, confidentially. I'm not going to just, share the name, but this person had 2 bags full of business cards for the last 2 years, never entered them in a database, didn't want to pay for an admin person, just only thought to themselves, like, I have to do this. So she was carrying that burden for 2 years energetically. So converting that to a handoff to an admin person who's going to type way faster than her, be more accurate than her, but there was this mentality of, I'm waiting till I have the money. Don't wait till you have the money. This generates money. I'm certain of this, you guys. You can't find a successful person who doesn't have a fabulous admin person. You can't. When I go to these speaking events, training events, Omega, retreat centers, places like that, I just talk to people all the time, speakers. They worship their admin person. So how do you get that person? You make the list of what you need. Putting it on Craigslist is a scary thing. These days, you can get a lot of responses. What I tend to recommend is starting in an inner network. If you know someone else who's self-employed and has a half-time or a few hours a week assistant, that's the way I found my first assistant. I asked all my friends who ran their own business. Somebody said, oh, you should use Agat. She's great. She's working for me. She's available for more hours. So it's like, great, somebody already trained that person. But when I recruit, I always say things like, come work for a global drum entrepreneur and peace builder. Like, I want to pull people, magnetic. We talked about push and pull. I want to pull people into my company. I want to motivate someone to come in and help me. We need help. There are people that want to help us, volunteer, event support, and admin. And this is the success end of that story is this person I'm coaching went ahead, hired someone, sent the business cards to her. It's a virtual situation, doesn't live even near her. And it's somebody that she put it on Facebook. I'm looking for a help. And it's somebody in her Facebook community responded. And so she shipped the cards off. And a week later, bam, here's a spreadsheet with 300 people that was waiting for 2 years, a database of 300 people. So now she's rocking and rolling. Now she's got a database, she's getting organized, she's communicating about her business. So those are things we're not good at by nature, is it? Right? I mean, who on this call is like waiting to type up business cards, right? So that's the idea. And I honor Karen because she's the declutter therapist. She works with people on organization and how it helps their energy, the feng shui. But this is about our cognitive feng shui. This is about having a mindset that feels on top of it and excited. And if you're not in that space, you won't attract the greatest clients because you're full of stuff to do. You want some state of emptiness and availability, not desperation. So I'm going to end with one other talking point, and then I'll open it up for comments and questions. How to design your business. I put in a couple of things that are good models that I've used. First, let's talk about the circle model of the pie. Let's see, I have a drum here to demonstrate the pie. So this is how people do business development or time management, is they say, where does my money come from? What's my diversification of my income? I do public speaking, I do training, I do online offerings. I can look at a pie. I don't have to know the specific numbers. I just want to get a general sense of where my income's coming if I'm designing a business. For me, right now, I'm looking at a pie of travel versus no travel, right? So I'm developing less travel. And so I can change that pie graph. It doesn't have to be, 30% travel, 70% stay home. It can be 20% travel, 80% stay home, or, as I'm getting older. So all those things are important to understand those kind of pies. You can also do a pie graph on your time management. Where am I spending my time? Where do I want to be spending my time? What if like 20% said marketing, which I taught you guys before? 20% of my time is marketing, 20% of my budget. And then 20% said personal self-care and personal growth. What if I let myself invest in a workshop now and then, or something like time management course? Very important to me, or online classes. And then maybe the other percentage is like doing events and online events versus live events, whatever it looks like. So try the pie graph. The second one that I'm loving is the tree business model. So I'm putting together a tree, just drawing a tree, and then I'm putting on each branch what line of business that is. Products. Okay, I've got like 6 products on that branch. Health rhythms, 3 of those a year. Then you start to see the reality feedback of where you're spending your time, right, Lulu? You can just go, okay, I wrote a book this year. There's like a whole branch I launched. No wonder I don't find I have the energy to do all these events. So sometimes we just keep going and we don't even take a look at that tree. And if you want to design your tree, this is where you're now the conductor and you're saying, I want self-care to be a branch, and what am I anchored in? What's really anchoring me? What's my foundation? It's my assistant, it's my event help, it's my volunteers. Maybe you have a product support team, like a endorsement with somebody, which I really recommend as well, if you can pull that together. So those are some of the models that I really like. I like the tree, I like the pie, gives you some conceptual design. We've talked about branching, pruning, and truncating. Branching is when you say, I'm ready to add. Like, I want my business to expand. Trisha's like, I'm going to expand this new online course with poetry offerings. So then sometimes we're pruning. I am exhausted working with kids. I'm cutting that branch off for a while. I'm pruning that. I can't do it all. What's my ideal client? Oh, good, Deborah. She uses the tree model all the time. I want more of my ideal client. So I'm picturing that branch going up. And truncating, check this out. Truncating, which is what redwoods do. If you ever read the book Wild Trees, what redwoods do is they literally, when they get to a certain height, they can't grow anymore without another trunk. And they truncate. And it's not the same as a branch. It looks like a whole tree just grew off the edge of one tree and grew its own tree. Truncating means training. Like for me, health rhythms is a truncating. Or music medicine. Now I'm training, and if I'm training trainers, that's a real good trunking, right? Because now I'm creating new trees, not just branches and pruning. It's like a whole new tree is developing. So if the poetry salon, people call it franchising, but that's not really the concept here. If the poetry salon decided to have another location in Santa Monica, that's trunking, right? She's like, now the Santa Monica operation is born. So those are some things that I think can help you in your designing your business. Some people put on their pie graph volunteering, which I think is great to track. Having some kind of service project can really be beneficial, of course. If you feel scattered, find your roots. Go deep and find what grounds you. And for me, during those 40 days, and I'll close with this and I'll open it up for comments. For me, in those 40 days, I found my roots. That's what it was. My tree was really full, and everybody was like, you have the best life. You're like living a dream. And I'm going, I don't feel grounded. I feel scattered. I feel depleted. And this mentoring program was born in those 40 days. It was born in the silence of those 40 days. It was born in the question of, how can I truncate? How can I contribute? Where is my calling now? I could feel I was at a different stage. I just didn't know how to monetize that offering. So that came through that time. Found my roots in what I'm here to do. They changed. I used to be all about doing more and more programs. I'm not anymore. I want to coach people that are doing programs. I want to train people. And I want to learn how to access a larger audience through these virtual platforms. So when you change your focus, it requires, a little examination and understanding how the business model, how you want to design your business. And that's why I was excited to teach this tonight, because I really lived it. And it created this program. So with that, let's open it up for comments and questions tonight. You know how to mute yourself or wave at me if I'm not catching you. Questions to me, questions to the group, personal sharing, where you're growing your business, what was something that resonated with you. Anybody? Okay, Sarah Jane. Oh, let's go with Diana because she has to dash out. Go ahead, Diana.
Yeah, I really just want to thank you, and excuse me if I'm emotional, but this could not have come at a better time for me right now. Because I feel so burnt out and what I just realized is that I just directed a show at my job. 45 clients who had developmental disabilities, and I've been living that dream. And I realized, and it didn't go as well as it didn't go well. So there's been a lot of, I think, let down from the boss, and I've had to realize it wasn't about my boss, it was about how my clients and how they felt. But what I also realized, and thank you, is I need to take this evening week off. I mean, I do need to go to work for financial reasons, but usually I go to work and I come home and I work on the business. I just realized I need a week off, and I need to not do anything but go to that job, which hopefully I'll be leaving soon, and come home and watch TV or listen to music. And I thank you, because I would have probably worked all week, and I don't have the energy to do that right now.
Yeah. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, I want to share that, and I do need to go because I have a meeting, but I just after I said that, I'm gonna go to meeting. I'm doing a play reading, but after the meeting, I promise I'm gonna come home and not do anything.
Okay, well, thank you. Let's give her some love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll say something about that in comment, which is that the stages go like this. First, we recognize our out of rhythm radar happens when we're depleted. And that's a good sign to know. And then the next stage of evolution as self-employed, successful people is that we learn preventing that, okay? First, we learn when we've done it to ourselves, which, believe me, is super common. And then we learn to prevent that by scheduling our priorities. By scheduling. Diana goes, okay, I'm going to be directing a play. I already know that I'm going to need 3 days off after the play. And that way she's looking forward to that time. She's like pushing through the play because she's like, I know I already scheduled 3 days. I got that massage booked on Tuesday, and I'm going to a concert Wednesday night. And what is it that stops us from this? I'm fascinated by it. What is it? And I think it's just kind of a consciousness of like some kind of self-employed shadow that I have to always be available, or I have to always be working because I'm paying for my life. I have to do more. And so when you start to live this way, I can't explain why it works. I'm sure there's some metaphysical secret to it all. But when you're not depleted, yeah, we're in a hurry. When you're not depleted and you're managing things well, I just find that the best gigs knock on my door from that place of availability. Any other? Sarah Jane has a comment or a question. Go ahead, honey. Spotlight video.
I was just going to say that I definitely had been feeling a sense of that burnout. I mean, I went from 0 to full time in 2 years in Buffalo, which is great. I mean, that was wonderful, but I never felt like I was off. And my family had planned this move. We came to Cape Cod. We needed for me to have a job immediately. I just found for me getting to do my own business, the perfect opportunity working at a school for kids with SPEDS as their music therapist, instructor of performing arts, adapting the curriculum to kids ages 8 to 22. It's awesome. I'm done at 4. So right now I'm doing all my channeling and I'm able to have a breath from what I was doing before and to just be able to regroup, remarket. And I'm looking for more now those group, larger settings. I think it was Deborah that had the picture of the drums at the schools. Was that you with the, yeah, so impressed by that, you know? So looking for those weekend or larger opportunities, and maybe in the future it'll merge into me being able to do that full time again. But with all the administrative burnout that I was having, I needed to take this step back.
Sure.
One more thing, I made that video. I posted it on the group, and it's not edited, but I would love everyone's opinion.
Okay.
The newsletter. So I'm super excited. My job. It's 40 hours a week with benefits, and my husband is happy.
Thank you. And I think a lot of times we don't realize that we do go in and out of, you know, sometimes we go work someplace. I did that for 4 years at Remo, and I kept my own business going the whole time. You know, you don't stop consulting. Or now listen to how she's changed her tree. So everybody could listen to Sarah Jane's comment and picture how her tree changed. Okay, now I want to add this new branch. I want to add large groups. So her foundation changed. Okay, now I have a different position in my family, different locations. Can be better just have a job. I can apply all that. So thank you. Great example of creating a business that works for your lifestyle. Thank you. Anybody else, comments or questions? Go ahead, Deborah. Mute.
I'm finding I'm changing over to bigger events, like more corporate style of events rather than just in the schools. And it's been a really big challenge for me because I don't actually have an assistant. And so when I do these events and that I put into the when they ask me what I need, I always say I need an assistant when I'm at the event. So they usually provide one, and it's usually an administrative person from the company that ends up being an assistant. And it's great because then they organize people to set up the chairs, they organize people to do other things. And as far as the musicality goes, there's always going to be somebody in the group. I don't really look to somebody to hold down a bass drum beat or anything like that. I usually get a group of people started on something and then bring the group in. So having an assistant is something that I would like. I mean, I've been an assistant with other people, and so I know what the benefits are. I just haven't found somebody that I could actually do that for corporate. And I don't know if it's necessary per se, unless you, maybe once in a while as a volunteer. So I'm wondering, what are the benefits of having an assistant at every event, or how can, do you think it's worthwhile to keep asking people that are asking to have an event run to include an assistant from their group?
Okay, great question. And let's give her some appreciation. She's getting these corporate gigs that she's just been intending, and she just booked one like the day of the event. So this is a great question. Couple things I want to shift in your thinking. The first one is you're a little segmented. Like, do I need an assistant for corporate?
Right.
You need an assistant for foundation. Assistant is the back end. Assistant is the foundation. Assistant is not the event support person. They might be, like every now and then my assistant, Andrew Belinsky, comes with me to a gig just because I'm lucky that he has that skill set, but I don't always rely on him for that. I tend to rely for event support on other kinds of people or volunteers. I wouldn't do that for a corporate gig. I would bring a really good trained person along with me. But I think it's fine to ask for help with the admin person from a company, and it's working for you. But what I have been feeling for you for a while now, based on your success and the volume of your work, is that first step is that you have to consciously decide and commit, I'm getting a helper.
Yeah.
And that's the first step. I can afford it. I can't afford not to. I'm behind. If you're behind on things like billing, booking, data, social media, it's time. Because you're going to use those hours to make money, right, to pay for that. So it's not that you have to wait till you have the money. That generates money for you. It generates hours for you.
Right.
So I would say think differently. Start recruiting. Make a conscious decision to recruit. You can always start somebody at 4 hours a week or, 5 hours every 2 weeks, or you can start little and you can say, let's do a trial.
Right.
I didn't talk about this, but virtual assistants are very popular. I use a virtual assistant for all the data entry and the constant contact newsletters. She's very specialized in that. I think I pay her $25 a month, and she keeps up on all the stuff that I hate to do. And even my assistant hates to do it. We don't like typing and data entry. He doesn't like it either. You guys, some of you know Andrew. So it's better for me to outsource that specific task. So my slogan is invest in experts. That's always been my slogan.
Right.
I'd rather pay a talented admin person than someone who's just learning how to make a spreadsheet. Okay? So I just think for you, it's a matter of deciding, and then you will know, this event, I want a helper. You say to the admin person, I want to bring an event support person. So think of them as two different things that sometimes overlap. We don't know for sure, but you definitely need an admin person. They tend to be, the best admin people in my experience tend to not be the gregarious, let's go to an event. They tend to be the like, I'm happy to hide behind the computer screen and type for you. But I wouldn't delay that because I've been seeing how you've been overwhelmed. And when you're in that overwhelm and you're that behind, you're not available. It's some kind of metaphysical thing. So it's time to recruit. Facebook works. Calling other people you know who have assistants. Exploring a virtual assistant if that could work for you. I use her for my bookkeeping and my data entry.
Yes, I do need a bookkeeper. Absolutely.
So can you just commit to doing this now to the group?
Committed.
No, because I know this is a threshold for you. Whatever it is, we're not going to spend time on it. Whatever's been holding you back from making this step, it's time to let that go. And just step in. Step in. And this woman that I told you about that I'm coaching, in 1 week, she recruited the perfect assistant.
Oh, that's great.
Because she committed. Okay, thank you. I'm going to open it over to Trisha, who's got a great question. Go.
Hello. So yeah, I have, after having worked more than 40 hours a week for the last year, I finally have this free time, and there's a part of me that says, that's fine. There are people who work less than 40 hours a week, and hey, I can be one of them. And then there's another part of me that's like, well, or I could fill every minute of every day for at least 8 hours a day with, I don't know, between the writing and the creating new content. And then there's always marketing and learning more about running a business and reading books on this. And, but I'm also an extrovert, and sitting and reading and preparing all of these materials for 8 hours a day is really not fun for me at all. So, I mean, for me, I'm like, I could be done with my writing and creative stuff about noon and spend the rest of the day walking on the beach and grocery shopping and I'd be pretty content. But at the same time, I do want business to grow. So that's my conundrum. And I'm just wondering if there's, some helpful advice or feedback on that.
Great. So that's your pie graph with your
Yeah.
time, and you're new to this. So what's important is to let go, because you're facing some inner taboos. Let go of the 40-hour work week where you used to work. That's not
Yeah.
self-employment. Self-employment doesn't have predictable rhythms, because what you're going to find is maybe you have some spaciousness right now. I would step into that opportunity if I was you, because there's also a lot of research that when you're doing creative development, you need more empty time and spaciousness. The Beatles were famous. There's a whole book being written about the creativity of the Beatles, because like Here Comes the Sun was written when George Harrison was just strolling around because the rehearsal was canceled. So there's a lot of research now on creativity and spaciousness. And I think, are you not working when you're walking on the beach? What if a great idea came through a tidal wave or a poem, right? You're
Yeah.
available, but you're not pushing.
Right.
And I think for you, you're going to launch something and you're going to experience the energy of a launch, which is hard work. You build it up, you sell it, you push it, and then you sit into it. And I can only use this course as an example. I marketed, I taught a free webinar, I'm pushing, we offered deadlines. Finally, the course, the ship sails. I have my people that are enrolled, 18 people with me, and we're going for 9 months. But that period of a month before this course starts, I'm pushing, man. I'm marketing, I'm selling, I'm advocating, it's hard. But I know it'll be over in a month.
Yeah.
So that's the rhythm that I want you to start thinking of. There's a great book called The 4-Hour Workweek, and self-employment can become more spacious. I just took 3 weeks off and went to Wyoming. I mean, I worked a little bit from there, but for the most part, I had an amazing vacation. And I kayaked on the Snake River, and I did all these amazing things, and that really feeds me. And I could have been working that whole time. You labeled it so well. You could always be doing more. So self-employment is like a house. And if you own the house, there's always more home repair, right? But at some point, you are the product. So I can't tell you that there's a specific formula, like self-employed people work 40 hours a week. Some people would tell you they work more hours. I would tell you that the goal is to work less hours. What does work mean? Right? What does work mean?
Yeah. I'd rather be doing something else. I mean, that's the definition is, work is whenever you would rather be doing something else. So you can be making full money and never work a day in your life.
That's what people say, that I love what I do and I've never worked a day in my life. So you're going to have to find the answer to that. You're going to start to explore your time graph. And I think you'll know, based upon the rhythm of launching this new product of yours, there's going to be hard work to launch. Selling, marketing is all the work. It's the admin work. Then there's the content delivery phase where you're like in it, you're teaching, you're, like us, we're selling a program, we deliver the program.
Yeah.
So there's a different rhythm to it. And it's sort of like intense at certain times of the year, and then it sort of fades off. So it's kind of got a natural rhythm. I hope that helps. But I think also what's really important that I've noticed, your story reminds me of my girlfriend of mine who used to run the marketing at Whole Foods in Los Angeles. When she quit that job and became an energy healer, a crystal energy healer, she told me it took her 3 years to get out of the thought that she had to work 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
She was so used to push. And that's what that world trains people to do. And you can look at any of those people and they'll complain forever about how much they hate their job and they're exhausted.
Yeah.
But you're not in that field. You have stepped into the new field that you yourself are generating. So you're your boss and you get to decide. I don't think you're a slacker by nature, so I'm not worried that you're just going to be slacking, right? I would be if it was like, I quit my job and I'm just hanging. No, but your question is good. There's no answer to that. It goes in phases. You'll get used to the new phases.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Wave at me or post that you have a question or comment. Yes. You want to say something about that? I'll unmute you.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't used these services, but they come highly recommended from a publishing workshop that I just took. But these are general like places to hire virtual assistants, and it looks like you can really search, you know, by task and all of those things.
Yes.
These are kind of curated choices. There was also something else called Grab a Task, but I couldn't find that or figure out what that was. But maybe somebody, I think that's more for event organizing.
Well, I have never used those kind of online services. I've typically, again, what I do first is word of mouth, is I call and email people I know who are self-employed.
Yeah.
And I ask if they have a virtual accountant or a virtual bookkeeper. So that's how I've always found my people. So just to give you a sense of how I distribute my assistant, the people that are helping me, I have a graphic designer, I have a video editor. These are, you know, they help when I need a web designer or maintenance guy, IT kind of guy. I have the admin person and I have event support. And then I have a shipping person. So it just ended up being, oh, and then the virtual admin, ended up being 7 people. 7 people. It's not like they're on a payroll, right? But it's just, my motto is invest in experts. And I can call Paul, and we just had an opportunity to post our content, our video content, on a new TV channel for this new age spirituality market, new thought spirituality. And I tell you that I would never have done anything with it. But I emailed that contact to Paul, and I said, Paul, what would you charge me for you to coordinate this? He gave me a price quote, and I said, do it. Thankfully, all that content now lives on a TV channel that is viewed by millions of people worldwide.
That's fantastic.
I never would have done that myself.
Well, you're removing a lot of excuses here, which means getting more clear about what the plan is rather than kind of hiding behind all the busy.
Beautiful. Okay, the last thing I'll say, and unless if anybody has any other questions, but the other thing that I realized about working with assistants and helpers, because I'm such an advocate of it, I really do see all the people that I've ever coached are stepping through a threshold when they do this, of self-value or self-worth or whatever it is. And what I would say too that I do, that I make a real effort to do, is that I celebrate any success and I announce it to my team. So when I get an email that's like, your product changed my life, or, you know, we received kind of an award for a project we did with the Iraqi refugee women, or, you know, if there's something like that that happens, I communicate that to the person who does data entry. Like, I want her to be in my camp. I only pay her like $25 a month. She's also doing the bookkeeping, and that always ends up being about $500 a year. But my point is that I tell her, because she's just the back end person, I let her know, look at this comment from the music medicine training in Scotland. And she's just like, oh my God, thank you for sending me that. It doesn't take much time, but if you don't keep your team juiced up and excited about what you're doing, they're called the back end for a reason. They don't see the front end of your business. You have to be the one who turns around and goes, look, okay, look. So we did a webinar, as I told you, the science of drumming, and we sold 25 online courses for that. So we made around $2,200. So I gave Andrew a bonus. He didn't expect that, but it was he helped me a lot with it. And I felt like that was over the top of the normal job description. So imagine how psyched this guy is, right? He comes to work and I hand him a bonus. And that's how I want to work. I'm the boss, and I'm the boss of me, and I'm the boss of, you know, kind of not really this full-time boss, but for the hours that he helps me, I want him to be motivated, because the worst thing that happens is you find a good person and they quit you. So we want to cultivate that. The video editor, I've worked with him for 20 years. So we want to cultivate those helpers, invest in experts, let go of the excuses, take yourself so seriously that you deserve this. Deborah, you especially need to get a helper. And, you know, it's amazing to me how much you have taken on, and you're still positive and upbeat, but I would be, you know, in the undertow. by now. So get out of that space with a helper. They'll help with everything. Just do your data dump, start recruiting, set the price, get going. Anything else? Okay, so we'll be meeting next month for our final session. I have left the session open. There's no data for what we're going to talk about. The session is on, it says the 16th of October on my calendar, but Lulu, that's your birthday. And I think that's a Canadian holiday, maybe? No, Columbus Day. Anyway, I think it's October 16th. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'll send a follow-up email. Please, oh, sorry, Sarah Jane asked me, do I still do, not at the moment, I don't. What I would like you to do is send me questions ahead of time. Okay? What will help me sculpt our final class would be if you could do some self-reflection and just let me know, here's what I still need to work on. And I will pool that and we'll see where it aligns, and we'll leave lots of open, spacious time. I want to be really empty and available. It's kind of a satsang model to help integrate the program, the 8 topics, integration time, and also if you have other final questions or things you've gotten up against. Oh, it's Thanksgiving Day in Canada. Okay. I knew I wrote that down for a reason. Could we change it to October 9th? I'll send an email about it. I could do October 9th because we have 2 Canadians and they're having Thanksgiving. So maybe October 9th. So it'll be an integration day to sort of look at the different topics, how they've helped you, supported you, and then sharing with each other a Q&A kind of thing if you have questions for me and other people want to answer. I love structuring these open sessions. If you have a question, great, send it over. If you don't, I'll just go with my integration and open topic time. I also wanted to honor Lulu. She's on the call tonight. She recently, here she is. She recently had me do some individual coaching with her for her book that she wrote.
Oh, with Mary Knish.
She's a co-author of the book called 1-2 Let's All Play, over 40 games for using rhythm and movement with children.
And we spent the entire yesterday, the whole time trying to do, we did the video, but it was hysterical. You could see the bloopers. But anyway, you'll see the video we made because Christine said we had to do it and Mary was leaving. And so we had to do it right away. I'll put it on the thing.
Please do. So I was telling them to do no, they're doing the same book, but now they're actually marketing it. So I showed them how to make a video promotion, to do a sample game, some free things. And I just wanted to say I'm always available to you guys. I don't do one-to-one coaching unless people have been in one of my groups. But if you ever need an individual session, let me know.
It's the best. I mean, I can't thank you. It really helped. Well, it really helped us, and it really cemented a lot of things for the 2 of us. And we're going to now do, the next one's going to be for seniors, for the elderly and dementia. And yeah, so it was really very helpful.
So yeah, they're launching a second book.
Thank you.
With a new audience. So I think it's just really great to have product, and I'm so psyched.
Yeah, you're the one that
product.
I know you got me to get product.
Now you need a newsletter. Okay, so see you guys next month. Thank you so much for all your time. Happy drumming.